It took me about 2 years after producing to play one of my tracks because I had no confidence to do it because I was like, well, everyone else is writing music that's better than me.
Welcome back to On The Rail with Techno Tosh, and we are sitting in Amsterdam during ADE, and I'm here with Mha Iri, and we're also covering for DJane Mag. So I'm super happy to be able to have another female on the show because it's not that easy to get you females, I'm just gonna say. So I'm happy to be able to have this chat with you. But I know that when I started listening to you, I became a fan of yours just a few years ago when I started getting into techno and playing your tracks. And I want to know your background in music because you've said that you've been doing this for quite some time, of course. Yes. So tell us your journey, like where you started, what were you playing, your inspirations that led up to now, and what your sound has evolved to now.
Sure. So basically, my introduction to techno was when I was really young. My older brother was a vinyl DJ. He used to run events in Edinburgh. So I had a very early introduction. I was maybe like, I don't know, 9-10 years old. So I fell in love with the genre from there, but that was like your more hard groovy stuff. It was like very hypnotic, repetitive, because the way that people produced them was completely different from, you know, the digital audio workstations that we have now. It's just a lot more complicated with machines and everything like that. And I started raving. I actually worked with a reggae label for a few years doing lovers rock music, which is a style of reggae music. And then from there, I moved to Australia. I was working in banking at the time. I was very young, didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, but was like very much a raver. So moved over there. And there was an advert on Facebook for someone that was looking for a radio presenter. So a friend of mine messaged me and they were like, oh, you've got a really nice accent. Over there, they love Scottish accents. They're just like, oh, it's beautiful, it's so sexy. I'm like, oh, thank you. So I got interviewed for the radio show, made it. And I was doing a Sunday radio show in the morning. Now, we were having international artists week in, week out. You're laughing in the background. And they were mainly psytrance artists, but sometimes techno as well. It was for Earthcore Radio, which was a really big psytrance festival. And basically, the producers or artists that were coming over for their tours would sometimes party on and they wouldn't come to the radio. So the guy that ran the station was like, you need to learn how to DJ. So I learned how to DJ, and then from there, I started getting requests to play. And then it all just kind of snowballed from there. I think I was DJing for about 3 months. And then I was like, I want to learn how to produce. I mean, I was a singer-songwriter anyway. So I was like, listen, you know, I've got this background in singing songwriting. I'm sick of trying to work with producers. They don't know what I want to do, or we're not finding the right click. Why don't I just produce my own music and then I can sing on it? In the end, I didn't end up singing. I mainly just did spoken word, but yeah, that was it. It just kind of snowballed. I got residencies, started like working week in, week out DJing, then started booking like international gigs. And that was it. It just kind of went from there. It was quite a whirlwind, but it was never something that I set out to do intentionally. It just kind of happened to me and I just went with it. So, yeah.
Do you have experience with vinyl? Because you mentioned your brother in the earlier days?
So my brother tried to teach me when I was very young. I didn't really get it. I bought vinyl when I was in, I think I was like 19 or 20.
What did you buy?
Older. I bought the Audio Technics, I think they are. It wasn't actually me that bought them. It was an ex-boyfriend. I didn't want to say that, but anyway. So you can,
someone bought them for you.
And he also bought my CDJ 300s that I used as well. They don't have a waveform or anything like that. They were like old ones. So thank you for that. He's a lovely guy, by the way. We're still friends now. It's just a bit weird thing to mention, but yeah, so he very much encouraged me, and yeah, like I did try with vinyl, but to be honest, my focus was so hard on production that I was like, I could spend time learning how to beat match on vinyl, or I can have my CDJs and learn the ins and outs of production, which was really what I wanted to do. Like, I love producing. I have a love-hate relationship with it. Sometimes I hate it when I'm not having inspiration, but when you do have the muse on your shoulder, there's nothing like it. Like the feeling that you get, the adrenaline that you get when the ideas are just flowing is so magical.
I know some people have strong beliefs in whether they say writer's block is a thing or not. Do you think that it is something for you, or?
Yes, it's definitely been something for me. Like, I'll sometimes go 3 weeks without producing, but then I sit down, the energy shifts, and I can write most of a track, like get the structure down. It's basically just unpolished within a few hours. So I'm not the kind of person that sits there every day, especially if I'm on tour. Like, I take my mum on tour with me, you might have noticed on Instagram. So she comes away with me, and I just wouldn't feel fair to be sitting on Ableton for like 4 hours when she's sitting in the background in the hotel alone. So I do have stints where I don't do it, but when I first started producing, I was definitely doing it for multiple hours a day. And I think that was also the reason that the relationship with the guy that bought me the decks didn't work out.
The truth comes out.
He would come home and he'd be like, "You've been doing it all day." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm still doing it."
Like, I'm not done and I'm not ready for you yet.
Exactly. So it's definitely difficult as a music producer to sustain a relationship with someone who doesn't quite understand how time consuming it is, especially in the early years. And yeah, you definitely, like, you go against the grain. You do things that you shouldn't do when you're learning that now I wouldn't do, which is kind of a shame because you're more, I guess, experimental when you first start. You don't care about the rules.
What are some of those things that you did before that you don't do now?
So, for example, if I was in EQA, which is like how you EQ your sounds, I would have it maxed out on certain points within the spectrum, which you definitely are not supposed to do, but for some reason it worked. I also never used sidechain for like the first 2 years. And then I realised that was a massive mistake. Every time the drop came in, I'm like, ooh, why is there no kick?
Why is there no kick? I'm done.
It's because the other synth is completely drowning it out. And I used to also do a lot of things in the same part of the spectrum. So there were certain tracks that would have like 150 channels. I'd just keep adding new sounds. And now I try and minimise it. Like, I try and keep it to like 30, 40 maximum, and I try and focus on just using high quality sounds that work together in harmony rather than just constantly layering because you think it will make it better. Like, busy is not always the best.
I feel like that takes experience though too, like you said, because it takes time to be able to figure those things out. Like, I don't know what moment made you realize that you needed to use the sidechain. Like, was it in the club that you heard it, or did somebody point it out?
It was in the club.
Okay.
Yeah. When the drop came and no one was really dancing, I was like, oh, this isn't good. And it took me about 2 years after producing to play one of my tracks because I had no confidence to do it, because I was like, well, everyone else is writing music that's better than me, you know? So you obviously have your favourite artists. Like, at the time, it was like Enrico San Giuliano, Cosmic Boys, Alex Stein. Like, I used to play him a lot as well, but there was a lot of the really amazing peak time artists a few years back that I really looked up to. And so when you compared it to your track, you're like, nah, not even gonna risk it.
Right. But I think that's good too, that of course you want to compare it to the best, right? Because that's the way for you to grow.
Yeah.
Do you feel like your sound has evolved since you started? Because again, how long have you been producing essentially?
Well, it's been about 13 years. So it's been a long time. And it has evolved massively over the past few years. Like, when I first started, the first track I produced was Trap. And it was horrendous. But that was just for fun. Obviously never released that, thank God. Like, oh my goodness. Everyone would need to get new ears. But after that, I went into like progressive house. So I did a couple of them. That was like the first releases. And then from there, it was peak time. And then from there, I've done more hard house, hard dance, which is what I kind of grew up with as well. When I was younger, like hard dance and like hard trance was really big in Scotland. So I loved like Above and Beyond and like also drum and bass, but I haven't released anything. And that's just something that's really big in Scotland and has been for many years. So yeah, I've moved into the hard dancey side of things, and I'm just like pushing the BPM a bit more. I'm experimenting more. Like, I'm starting to actually sing in my songs, or I have done. I mean, when I was playing at Nature One, I actually sang live, and at another gig I did that, and I've realised that I don't know if I want to do that because it's a lot of pressure, especially when you're on a plane. Sometimes I get a sore throat, and sometimes I'm not doing it because I've quit, but I was vaping now and again. You can't really mix vaping and singing. It's just not a good idea. So yeah, the sound has evolved massively, and I think you have to in a sad way, but to be relevant, like you have to evolve with how things are going, but also keeping true to yourself. So you can stick to a sound that might, I don't know, have become obsolete. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it just means that you're not getting booked as much. So it's very difficult. It's like trying to keep up with the times, which are evolving constantly, but also not chasing the trends and becoming like a chameleon, you know? So for me, it's just, I think you naturally, organically change anyway. And everything feels organic for me. Like all the tracks that I've made feel like me, feel like what I want to be pursuing for now. So that's good.
How did you go with the evolution of that? Because when I first started listening to you and you were dropping some of the peak time driving sounds, which I'm guessing that's what you're talking about, evolving into maybe a bit of a harder or faster sound. How did you keep true to your sound? Like what elements did you keep and what did you evolve that you still felt like you?
So for me, it's just about keeping a sound that feels like me. I know that sounds weird because it's hard to explain, but if a track sounds good to me and it makes me want to dance and it makes me feel good, then that's right. Like I've never really stuck to, I suppose, thinking about other people when I'm producing, which is why I've definitely went into blocks when I'm trying to release with a specific label, because I really struggle with that. Like when I sit down, I just write what I want to write and whatever feels right. And a lot of the time they won't get released. There'll only be a certain few that actually make it through. But in the creative process, that's where I'm learning what I want to go with. And it just kind of happens as it does. With like Good Energy, for example, Bam Bam Bam, they were a bit harder. And it was because I listened to an artist called BLK, who's like an amazing Irish producer, really young, so sweet, like really lovely person. And I saw him play and I was like, I really love the sound that he's putting through, like the donkey sound. So that was a few years back. And I was like, do you know what? I downloaded this preset pack called Alan Aztec Donk Sounds. And I was like, I'm just going to mess about. And then all of a sudden I had like 3 tracks and I was like, I really love them. And when I started to play them, I saw the reaction to them and I was like, people really want this. And then I kind of went back to peak time for a bit. So, but just a slightly faster BPM. And I was like, I want to do this again. So I released Post Punk, which is also, faster. It's 160, but it's also very melodic and emotional. And yeah, it's just, as I say, just kind of getting inspiration from other artists and then feeling what's around you and being like, I want to give that a go. And there's nothing more refreshing than trying something different. Like I've been producing peak time for a long time, so I'm pretty advanced in that. So when I'm doing something different, it's like exciting again. I'm like, oh, how do I do that? I don't know how to do that. So I think for me, it's about that. Just keep laughing.
Just relating.
Yeah.
And when you say when you're putting these songs together, or the inspiration that you say, or maybe changing the sound, when you get that excitement or you're trying to do something different, where is it coming from essentially? Because if you have kind of had this order this whole time doing a certain type of sound, where are you drawing that inspiration from? Or are there moments where you're like, okay, I need to do some sort of practice for myself to be able to kind of refresh the mind?
I think it's just everything around me, like I say. So if I'm on Beatport and I'm listening to music, sometimes I'll get inspiration from a track and I'll reference it. Like there's a track by ROBPM, I can't remember the name of it, but I really loved the synth that he used and I was like, I want to replicate that. So I sat there and tried to replicate it and it sounded pretty spot on and I was like, okay, this is too similar. So I added a transcate on it. And all of a sudden it completely changed the vibe and I was like, all right, I've got like a lead here. And that's what Come With Me became, which is still very much peak time, but with psytrance elements. So yeah, I think it's just experimenting and then going with the experiment. So when you're playing around, sometimes things happen by accident and you're like, that's meant, I'm going to go with that. Or it's also drawing inspiration from, an emotion that you're feeling, people around you, music that you've heard. There's so many ways that you can be inspired. And then for me, I just have full, like I used to, as I say, be try and be rigid in the way that I approach production, but now I'm just like, just see what happens. And that's, I suppose, leading into Why Don't You Dance, which is like where I've been releasing recently, which is like a vehicle. So it's basically a collaboration between me and PS Electronique. and I've been able to release whatever I want there. Like I have full creative control. So that's even given me more freedom to just do what I want and see what happens. And it doesn't necessarily have to be something that's going to be number one. Like I'm not aiming for that. I'm just aiming for it to resonate with listeners, and for them to feel an emotion. So I think, yeah, that's the limits are, there's no limits.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there, when you mentioned the label thing, do you feel, or not even feel, are there restrictions put on you when it comes to producing certain tracks for certain labels or requirements? Like, what are some of those? I don't want to call it I can call it restriction. I don't know what you want to call it. Maybe you have a better word for it. What would some of those be for anybody that might be wanting to produce or release on certain labels? You don't have to name drop if you don't want to, but
of course,
just for people to understand that there might be limitations in some areas.
Totally. Well, I think when you're aiming for a specific label, what you're doing is you're checking their catalogue and you're thinking, right, how can I be similar to that but also have a unique element? But, you know, if a label, for example, doesn't go over 138, you don't really want to send them something that's 150, but maybe what you're writing on is 150 and it doesn't sound right at 138. So in that case, it's just like with Why Don't You Dance, I've been able to go from like 132 up to 160. I can just do what I want. And I think having that freedom is really, really, it helps massively with your creative juices because you're not worried about fitting into a certain box for a label. And it might not be that the label would decline that track if you sent it, if you had the balls to be like, right, I'm going to send them this and see what happens. But we probably restrict ourselves internally because we think probably they won't be interested in that because it doesn't sound enough like the rest of their other releases. So I guess I wouldn't know because I've never really sent something that's really out there to a label that I feel it wouldn't work for. Like, for example, Filth on Acid, I can name drop in this case. Like, Riney is so open to just everything. So I've felt comfortable to send him stuff that like I probably wouldn't send to other labels because I know that they would just be like, oh, that doesn't work, you know.
And in a case like that, have you gotten a no, or where it's said that like this isn't going to work for us but maybe somewhere else?
I mean, not so far with Riney because I've always been very particular in what I send him, and I make sure it's, you know, the right fit in a sense, but still experimenting. I've never had a no from him, but I've definitely had declines in the past, especially when you're in the first few years of you doing it before you start to grow as an artist. You don't even get declines, you just don't get an answer. And that's probably the hardest part of being an artist because you work so hard on something. You sit there, you write your email and it's really heartfelt and you're so excited, and then you wait like a week, then you wait 2 weeks, then you wait 4, and you're like, do I send it somewhere else? And then if they get back to you, you're like, oh shit, I've already sent it to somewhere else now. What do I do? But yeah, it's definitely, it's a struggle. And I do feel for artists that are fresh in the scene because it is hard to get a response if you're not seen as having value. And I don't know what that is, what that looks like for labels, but maybe it's having a big social media presence. Maybe it's something else. Who knows?
When it comes to singing and songwriting, because I know that you said that was something you're passionate about, throughout your life. Yeah. First, I'll ask you a fun question.
Okay.
What is like one, or if you want to give me like 3 best songs to sing in the shower for you?
Right. Oh. ABBA, Take a Chance on Me. Just trying to think what else. Like my brain's not working.
Like that's the first one that.
It's a song by Rufus something. Hallelujah. Okay. I can't remember who it's by, but I love Hallelujah. And probably a song by Enya, even though I don't know the words because she speaks it in some bizarre made up language.
I want to hear your version.
No, I'm not going to go there.
I'm like, your version, yeah. Because, no, it's funny because, yeah, there's these moments where I'm like, okay, Adele, and I'm like, oh, I'm singing this song again, you know? But it's like, it just feels good in the shower.
That's it, exactly.
So let's go into some rapid fire questions just to kind of end on a high note because I know we got a little technical. Yes. But, so, just really quick, like this or that.
Okay.
Shot or cigarette?
Shot.
Amsterdam or Berlin?
Amsterdam.
Techno or trance?
Techno.
What DAW do you use?
Ableton.
Opening or closing set?
Closing.
Kick bass or vocals?
Kick bass.
After party or sleep?
Sleep. I'm a boring old bastard.
If you have one dream request on your rider that you don't have now, what would it be?
Coconut water.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've started getting into that.
I was thinking about that. I'm like, we should see more coconut water here.
Oh, in Ibiza, amazing. Anyway,
Okay.
yeah, they had the best coconut water in Ibiza. Anyway,
Fresh coconuts. Backstage or dance floor?
dance floor.
Okay. So far, I haven't heard one backstage, which makes me very happy from the artist.
Yeah,
guys.
I love that.
I'm like, passion,
We're always
passion.
backstage. We're like, fuck off.
Favorite BPM to play?
145.
Okay.
Sweet spot.
Emotional or dark track?
Emotional.
Okay. Michael Jackson or Prince?
Prince.
Okay. 1 hour set or all nighter?
All nighter.
Date. Okay, wait. Sorry. If you had to date a DJ or date a promoter?
Probably a DJ. Okay. They'd understand my lifestyle. Promoters are usually a bit full and full. I'm joking. Well,
Still book her. Yeah, exactly.
Don't.
I know that's a hard question.
Not about anyone booking me, obviously.
Which one would be worse? Losing your friends like in a festival or something, or losing your phone?
I don't mind losing my friends. The phone would be an issue because I wouldn't be able to phone them.
That happened to me, and don't do it. I had to
Yeah.
end up handwriting all the phone numbers
Oh my
for the
God.
next time. It was
be
not
the
good.
pictures of my dogs. I'm like, this is devastating.
You're like, this is Mari's phone. We know that. Emergency contact.
My partner Alex.
Okay. I haven't heard any like moms. It's all been partners, which is also
Yeah.
really nice.
Yeah.
And then if you had to say, just for your own pleasure, of course, we'll talk about your events just to wrap this up. For your own pleasure, if you had to choose one event to attend ADE that you think would be a really fun party, what would it be? Just for fun.
To be honest, it would be whatever's going on at the Hasshouder because I love that venue. It's just epic with the fireworks and the lasers and stuff. Yeah. So yeah.
You've played there, right? Or not?
Yeah, I've played there I think 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, because they switched the venue this year. So now I'm like waiting for I want to know what everybody's going to say about it this year.
Oh, goodness me.
And if we can expect anything exciting from you 2026, what should we expect?
So I've got an exciting collab, can't say who with, but it's an artist that I've admired for a very long time. And not only that, he's a very nice person, which is extremely important to me. I don't collab with people who aren't nice. So that's very important. And apart from that, what else? I think that's about it for now. There's lots of stuff happening, but my brain is fried. So we'll just go with that.
We'll go with that. Thank you so much, Mari, for joining us.
Thank you. That was great.